the greatest shooters in the NBA. In the history of the NBA, Klay and Steph are both on a very short list. Ray Allen, a couple of others. Top 5, certainly. And you can make a hell of an argument that Klay Thompson's the greatest shooter of all time. You could make that argument. But that doesn't prove he should be on the Lakers. Do they need shooting? Sure, they need shooting. Would he make them better? Of course he'd make them better. If you want to argue that, look, realistically, Lakers ain't getting Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant, so you might, and you have some money to spend, so go after Klay. Okay, I wouldn't argue with that. But there's nothing Klay can do right now that's going to prove that he should be the primary target other than considerations that you can't get other players. We know his dad, Michael Thompson, the great Michael Thompson. And we know how much Michael Thompson loves the Lakers, bleeds purple and gold, and we assume that that carries over to Klay, so maybe the Lakers have a shot. And that's great. They get Klay, that's great. But you'd rather have Kawhi Leonard. But Klay shoots better from 3. Kawhi shoots better from 2. In other words, like, their effective field goal percentages are virtually identical. In other words, scoring the ball, they do so at the same efficiency when you add it all up. But Kawhi can also get his own shot, and Kawhi's a better passer. And as good as Klay Thompson is defensively, Kawhi is clearly much better defensively. In other words, he is the better player. And since there's a cap, Stephen A., you know me, I religiously talk about this, in leagues with caps,
when you want to,
especially, you have finite resources. If you give Klay a max deal, which is what it would take, you may not even have enough for another max deal. But if you do, whatever 3 players you get will be inferior to LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and 3rd player, or LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and 3rd player. So the answer is no.
Well, first of all, I shouldn't have to worry about you interrupting me because you made my point and yours. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that you did that because you have absolutely nothing to say. Because you said, if you're going to make the argument here, then of course I have nothing to say. So you have nothing to say because that's exactly where I was going. The fact of the matter is this. It's not about who's better. It's about chopping down the alternatives. Kawhi Leonard. Issued Kawhi Leonard. Okay, well, you know what? Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, both want to be ball dominant, et cetera, et cetera. That's problematic. Kevin Durant, not sure he wants to be in L.A. We saw what he said earlier about how you'd rather be with me, or you know how being with LeBron was toxic, but he had to scale back on that word because LeBron James got offended by the word toxic.
If he goes to L.A., we think it's the Clippers, apparently.
Exactly. Right. So you got that going on, okay? So if you take those 2 things into consideration, along with the fact that Anthony Davis has to be traded, which means you need cooperation from the Pelicans, then excuse me, the most viable target is a person who's a free agent, although he says he wants to be a Warrior for life, didn't sign the extension when he had an opportunity to this offseason. Questions as to whether or not he could potentially change his mind. It's not an accident that he put on that kind of show at the Staples Center against the Los Angeles Lakers. And also, let's get into the complimentary factor. Of course, Klay Thompson is not better than any of those aforementioned players. But Klay Thompson is an elite defender. Klay Thompson is an elite shooter. If you are the Lakers, what do you need most? Those 2 components, more so than anything. You don't even need a playmaker more than you need that because you have LeBron. Now, ideally, he says as he's getting older, he doesn't want to go in that direction. But the reality is that we know he can. We know that when it really, really counts, that ultimately is what ends up happening. The coach gives LeBron the ball. LeBron makes decisions. LeBron, the only shooter that he has had in his career comparable to Klay Thompson was Ray Allen in Miami, championships, Kyle Korver in Cleveland, who was a non-factor come postseason time because the Warriors were able to put him on lock and key, even though he was productive in the postseason. In the end, when you look at Klay Thompson, the lethalness of this guy's shooting range, how he can pull up from the parking lot, for crying out loud. I consider Steph Curry to be the greatest shooter I have ever seen in my life. When you can make the argument that Klay Thompson can give anybody in history a run for their money when it comes to catch and shooting or set shooting, not off the dribble. But if you got somebody like LeBron, guess what most of your shots are going to be? Off the screens or set shots. That's it. To me, when I look at that, I'm saying Klay Thompson could potentially be just as formidable in the fact that he would be coming from Golden State, Max. coming
Peels
from
him
Golden
away,
State,
yeah.
peels him away from them, and I think puts the Lakers right in that championship picture where they belong. That's why I'm in with Klay.
I don't think, listen, his defense is excellent, right? If you're going to argue, you ain't going to get Kawhi or KD downshift. Okay, now let's talk about the downshift. Who do you downshift into? I would argue you'd rather have Kyrie than Klay. And Kyrie may be attainable. Kyrie might not be back with Boston. And has LeBron James won a championship with Kyrie?
Before you go on, just not to refute anything you're saying, before you go on,
yeah.
I received a call a few days.
Yeah, yes.
Kyrie Irving is very, very happy in Boston. He loves being in Boston. There's no way on earth he's even thinking about going to L.A. I'm just telling you what the call I received.
Sure.
That's
you
all
know why you received that call? Very simple. Here's the math.
Right.
Where is Kyrie eligible for a Supermax deal? Boston. That's why he was. But let's say Boston doesn't want to give him the Supermax.
That's right.
Or because of his knee, because of whatever other reasons, because they have so many guys to pay, and now Kyrie is, in fact, a free agent. Yeah. I think if you're going to downshift, it's nothing against Klay. Klay's a fantastic player. The Lakers or any team would be lucky to have him. If you're going to downshift, I'd rather have Kyrie. LeBron's already won a championship with Kyrie. In terms of the defense, by the way, Kyrie's capable of playing excellent defense.
Yes, he is.
Just doesn't do it consistently as Klay does.
Most guys who have his offensive responsibility do not. But go ahead.
Which is what's so amazing about someone like Kawhi.
That's right.
But what you look at with the Lakers, when you talk about Klay's defense, Lakers are an excellent defensive team. Lakers' defensive efficiency is toward the top of the league, top 5 or 6. And Ingram can defend. Hart can defend. LeBron can defend when he wants to. Rondo can defend. Lonzo can defend. You start to break down the individual players. You go, yeah, those are all good defensive players. I don't think there's a dire need for a wing defender like Klay that would make him more valuable than Kyrie on the team.
And I don't refute that. What I'm trying to say to you, and this is just it's a style thing. Me covering basketball, playing basketball, all this other stuff. Look, man, it's one thing to be able to score. But when you can pull up damn near from the parking lot, ladies and gentlemen, that's God-given. That's God-given. You don't find that everywhere.